I think as a country, it's time to have a serious conversation about AfriForum and the misinformation that they are spreading to the rest of the world. Like, they are trying to paint black South Africans as bad people for trying to equally distribute land that belongs to black people in this country. And you know what's worse is that we were told, oh no, we must forget about apartheid. Apartheid is long gone. 30 years of democracy. Is that not enough? Guys, we are still seeing the repercussions of the corrupt apartheid government to this day. Like, it's not ending. It has not ended. And then they're gonna come here and say, oh, ANC is corrupt, ANC is not delivering, ANC this, ANC that. And now we must vote for the enemy, which is DA, which I will never do, by the way. We must vote for DA that is funding AfriForum, that is trying to spread misinformation about the black people in this country, talking about a white genocide. What white genocide? Point me to the numbers. Guys, there are serious genocides going out there. There's the Palestine, like there's a genocide going on in Palestine right now. And people are focusing on white genocide and they're trying to sanction South Africa. Well, then fucking sanction us. We've had enough. I've had enough of white people in this country and the rest of the world trying to paddle along this propaganda that's going on. And then you have people complaining about BEE. How? That's black economic empowerment, which black people did not have. Guys, apartheid was yesterday, and you guys are trying to take out those laws. And
Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. So, Trump has just signed an executive order to cut United States aid to South Africa. Well, he's claiming white farmers are being unfairly targeted. But the irony is, the white landowners are the ones who are still holding the majority of the fertile farmland. So, is this really about discrimination, or is there something bigger at play? So, before I get deep into it, let's listen to what these South Africans had to say because their reactions might surprise you. So, let's get into it.
We gotta talk about what is happening in South Africa because a major country has now frozen all aid that will go towards South Africa, all because they believe that South Africa is discriminating against white people. And surprise, surprise, that country is the US, and the person who decided this is Donald Trump. What Trump is accusing South Africa of is unlawfully stealing the land of white people in South Africa to give it to black people or other non-white South Africans. So now he has signed an executive order to cut all funding towards South Africa because of the unjust racial discrimination that this country is being accused of. The order criticizes a law signed by the South African president that allows for land to be expropriated with nil compensation in limited circumstances. As we all should know, South Africa was ruled by white people during the time of apartheid. While they were the minority in the country, they had full control of the country, and they violently oppressed the country's black majority and every other person that was not a white settler. They forced them to live in segregated townships and rural homelands, as they called it. They took away most of the land from the black population, made it impossible for black people or anybody that was not white to prosper, and while officially speaking apartheid is over, the effects are still lasting to this day. The settlers, or the Afrikaners as they call themselves, are mainly descendants from the Dutch, who began colonizing South Africa in 1652. Just to put it into perspective, the white South Africans make up around 7% of the population. But even nowadays, land and wealth is still largely concentrated with these people. Black people are around 81% of the population of South Africa. Now, after apartheid, a lot of white South Africans are saying that they're being discriminated against because the country, in certain instances, has been trying to give back to the black community. But the way Trump sees this is that these are countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions fueling disappropriate violence against racially disfavored landowners. Of course, a white man of German descent in the US would say that about white South Africans in South Africa. Also, how can you dismantle something that doesn't exist in the first place? There is not equal opportunity in employment, business, and education in South Africa. White people are still favored. He then also talked about, South Africa, they also accused Izzy of genocide, so we are against them, because how dare they actually try to follow international law. I also believe that this is 100% the influence of his white apartheid baby, Elon Musk, whose family became as wealthy as they are now because of apartheid South Africa and because they were directly benefiting of the exploitation of black people. His grandparents are literal Yahtzees.
Donald Trump will be saving all the Afrikaners that are in South Africa. In case you missed it, he just signed an executive order, which essentially is going to be stopping aid to South Africa, and it's going to be saving all the Afrikaners who have faced, confiscation of land and farm murders and all that. Now, honestly, I don't know why Donald Trump is pushing this propaganda against South Africa. Because I'm here to tell you, there are Afrikaners right now online coming out saying, listen, Donald Trump, we are fine here. We don't need any saving. I don't know whether he's doing this because of South Africa's stance against Israel, or maybe he's doing this because Elon Musk tells him all these things and he's not going to do the research and he's just going to sign a whole lot of documents. Is it because there's a certain organization here in South Africa which doesn't want the social injustices that were done by apartheid to be corrected? I don't know. Is it because of South Africa's proximity to Russia and China, who are essentially America's biggest enemies? I don't know. Is it because of the whole BRICS thing? Guys, there's so many different reasons that could be influencing America to be pushing this propaganda to say that there's so many farm murders that are happening in South Africa and that Afrikaners are having their land confiscated. This propaganda, this false narrative which is being pushed is dangerous because America is a machine when it comes to propaganda. America has the best propaganda in the entire world. So if they're pushing this narrative, I'm telling you, the rest of the world is actually going to start believing it. It's so important for you as a South African to come online on TikTok, talk about what the reality is actually happening in the country, because the rest of the world is going to need to know the truth, what is actually happening in South Africa. And I'm here to tell you, as a person who's staying in South Africa, Afrikaners are not being oppressed here in South Africa. They're not. They own 72% of the land. In fact, we can still hear stories of Afrikaners still oppressing black South Africans. So I don't know.
What are the odds of the Orange Man cutting off funding to South Africa when South Africa is discussing expropriation? I also feel like they're going to push Cape independence and Oranje is going to get some crazy funding in the next 4 years. People are in the comments on the Trump video saying, yes, Trump, come. Yes, fix it all. And I'm like, I do not doubt for a second that if they wanted to turn us into Gaza, they would. I do not doubt for a second that they would.
So on Friday, Trump signed an executive order. He said the expropriation bill that's been signed into law in South Africa at the beginning of the year showed a shocking disregard for citizens' rights and would allow the government to seize land from ethnic minority Afrikaners without compensation. Stated that this law followed countless policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity as well as hateful rhetoric and government actions that have driven violence against racially disfavored landowners. Racially disfavored landowners is a little bit of a weird phrase in my opinion, because if they are racially disfavored and yet they own majority of the most arable, beautiful, best land in the country, how disfavored are they? Honestly, I think that, and I think I said it in my previous video, that they're using this as a reason, but I don't think this is the real reason that the US has an issue with South Africa.
Having shared the perspectives of various South Africans, I'd like to offer my own thoughts on this complex issue. So here's the deal. A lot of the chatter suggests that white farmers are being unfairly targeted. But when you look at the facts, the story changes. And even though white South Africans make up to less than 10% of the population, they actually own about 72% of the country's farmland. And most of it is the really fertile, productive kind. So saying they are being discriminated against just doesn't add up. So I believe this isn't about one group getting this short end of the stick. Instead, it's about trying to correct a deeply rooted imbalance that goes back to the days of colonialism and apartheid. And therefore, the land reform policy is meant to address those historical injustices, not to single out any particular group. So when Trump decided to sign an executive order to cut US aid to South Africa, his reasoning was based on protecting white farmers. But if you really dig into it, his narrative overlooks the broader historical context and the real reason behind the policy, which is to fix an unfair system that has been in place for far too long. So in the end, we need to consider all the facts and understand that sometimes fixing all wrong means making tough changes that might not sit well with everyone. And that's my take on the matter. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to like, share, and subscribe for more trending stories. Until next time, bye.